Hopefully the heater's not too loud for you, but it's ice cold here. Well, it's colder than ice, honestly. It's negative 6 or 7 degrees out right now, so still a little bit biting. So I'm taking the opportunity of my day off to do some stuff on the computer in a place where I don't have to go anywhere or do anything outside. um, but Sunday is coming up soon, and that's the start of trying to get the things I do onto a schedule with uh, the week to get it sort of more right with the rest of the week, and to split up some of my video heavy days. Like I was on Sunday, we will be starting the new series for food-based creative videos. I have a digestive ailment, so eating everything in one go like that, I have to space it out because it can ruin a whole week for me sometimes. So I can't do the live version of that every day for a week. So I've done some recording beforehand. But I believe there's a feature when I've uploaded some of the edited video content that allows me to do like a live pre-show intro, and I guess there's also like a post-show you can do too. And I don't know if they can be connected, so I'll be experimenting with that with the content that I've done before. So I want to see what I can do with that. And I'm sort of notorious for being one of those people that uses things not as intended. So if it turns out to be a feature that I can tweak and use in slightly different ways, I think I might do that. But yeah, so food's coming up this week. Then after food is art. And I'm aiming, I think, at that point to do a painting live each day. Maybe. I might be pushing it a little bit much. To at least have a few paintings by the end of the week would be the goal. And then after that is try to produce a video game by the end of February. And then I really have to start planning because I'm looking at right now potentially making a trip to do some stuff for a few other things, but I may see if I can get some content produced for this channel on that trip. And I'm kind of super excited about it, honestly, right now. It's expensive and it's really going to chow into my budget, but I'm kind of hopeful that it'll be an amazing adventure. And I want to kind of try to share some of that while I'm doing it. But because I'll be doing it in March, there's a possibility that I will be unable to access the internet for about a week in March. No guarantees. I may see if I can find a way around that potential problem, but I kind of like the idea of being able to make it all the way through this year without missing an update each day. But that'll be what it'll be, I guess. I can't fight fate if it wants to decide that it just can't happen that way. But yeah, I did a little more work on the on the puzzle, the stars and stripes puzzle, I guess is what I'll call it. Puzzle coasters, puzzle tray. I don't know how I want to refer to that, but see if I can grab it here. I really like the way the blue and the white turned out together. So those are the pieces, and the thing that's I did them. I did the squares for the coaster. They're not really squares. They're not. They were freehand done in Inkscape, and so they fit the stars just fine, and they are freehand shaped in Inkscape, and then copied for each one of them. But the tray is another freehand one, and I'm surprised that it fits all four coasters perfectly. I mean, like perfectly. And so I'm sort of surprised at how well that worked out. I'm like, I mean, I scaled the star up roughly to what it needed to be fitting all the pieces inside. So that's the blue of the tray. With the, I think I did better on the red, white, and stripes. Yeah, a little bit better. It's not as glossy right now because it needs more coats, but um, the stripes still look a little pink to me. But I did the whole coat in white first, and I added a little more red to the red so it wouldn't be quite as pink. It's still kind of pink. But the thing I kind of love about this is like the backs of these guys have the red and white stripes. And if we fill out the top, I'm gonna make a boatload of these things just because I love the fact that they work so well. But yeah, I'll put those here for now. I'll just chit chat about some of the other things I'm working on. I think March is roughly what I'm considering like a month off or a catch up month. Not because I'll be eating a lot of ketchup or anything, but um, anything left to be done after the end of February can be done then. So that's the time I'll be traveling anyway. So it sort of works out. But I want to still see what I can do with live content then. So I'll have to figure out what I'll be doing during that time. Maybe just lifestyle updates. I don't know. But the other thing I am aware of is that some of what I'll potentially be doing during the month of March, early March to mid March, is I will probably be doing a fair amount of walking or potentially hiking. And I have been very, very sedentary since November. So I have not maintained any kind of level of fitness for hiking. So in the meantime, I may start doing a little more trying to get in shape to benefit my trip. Not that I'm incapable of doing it, but I like to think that come on this trip, I might end up doing something like a 4 or 5 mile walk more than once, definitely during a week time frame in the middle of the month. So I kind of want to be in a position where I haven't been doing desk work for 3 months. So I kind of want to get back into a state of being. There we go. So that's the star in the tray. And here's the thing I thought was kind of neat was doing. This makes me think of Captain America. It's like his chest and stomach portions of his armor. I thought that was kind of neat. But anyway, yeah. So I need to get into a little bit more fitness readiness for hiking, and so I know I need to do that, but I also feel like it might be kind of interesting to do that as something I sort of broadcast. So like daily updates about that kind of stuff or something like that. I'm wondering if that last early week of the last week of February, that sort of partial week, and then the first few days of March might be the the correct time to maybe do that as a weekly update series. I'll leave that in there right now. So I got to think about some of that maybe, and then once March is over, um, I don't have any long plans of absence until, let's see, March. So April, May, I may do this series again, where I do a book, a movie, a board game, product or service, food related items, art or music, and then a video game again. And that should get me close to June being I think that would make June my next month off, which is fortuitous because I may be going traveling again for June. I may go, so April, May would be where are we on that one? That would be April would be pretty much the 1st, 8th, 15th, 24th, 29th would start a food week. And then May, finish food week by the 5th. Then art or music, and then video games on the 13th. And then maybe another health and well-being week for the 20th or the 19th to the 25th. And then the 26th, maybe I'll find some other content for that one. I'm not sure. But June would be my month off, I guess. And I have to head out early June for a few locations south, and I will try to update regularly, but again, travel may not make that possible. And then I may still be traveling for much of the summer. I may be gone. I know I'm going to an event in Chattanooga early June, and then early July, I believe, is VidCon this year, which I'm going to again. So I may be able to make that work. But after VidCon, I may head out, because I'll be in California, and I may head out further for, it's about a week and a half out of there to my next destination. And then from there, through some areas north, and it may take about a month to get back from that. So I'm thinking I might be back early to mid-August. That's going to be a tricky one. And then back to this region for late summer and early autumn, and maybe pick up a few extra things to do along the way. And down for a weekend in September to New York City. I think that's most of my time spoken for. So I've got huge swaths of time in there where I should be able to do stuff. Except for it might be a bit of a struggle in summer between early June and early to mid-August, as I may be traveling enough that it could interfere. But we'll see what it looks like. I'm kind of curious to see how well things go for this. It's it's a little uncertain. I've funded some of this stuff that I've already done, so like I've already committed large swaths of my savings to doing this. I don't know why I keep calling it swaths, but yeah. So that's going to be interesting to try to manage, and I'll try to figure it out in the meantime. Because I really, like I said, I really want to do continuous updates, like a daily update each day. May have to get a functional phone plan with a functional phone. This little beastie's not going to cut it. This is a very cheap. It's barely a smartphone, and it's I think it's 6 or 7 years old now, and it doesn't have the capacity to do a lot. And what it can do, I would say, the camera on this is probably worse than the camera on this laptop. So I don't imagine I'm going to get a lot. It doesn't have a front-facing camera. It only has this thing in the back. So I can't see what I'm recording if I'm pointing it at myself to record anything, unless I use a mirror. um, so that could be weird. But I could maybe make something happen there. I could make it maybe work. I could give it a try run with this for a week. See about like library or internet cafe access while I'm out. It's a little tricky, but I can see about it. Because I'm loving doing this, honestly. As much as it's like a boatload of work for me to do this in my other channel and some of my other online content stuff, it's a lot of work, but it's like it's the work I'm supposed to be doing, the work I want to be doing. So it's important to me. You know, I think I said somewhere else before that I'm going to really enjoy the fact that when I hit the end of this year, I'll have done at least 3 writing projects, 3 video projects, 3 uh, computer games, 3 board games. Like, I'll have done what, I mean, like, when you think about, like, just saying, like, this year I'm going to write a book, this year I'm going to make a board game, this year I'm going to make a video game. Like, it's a reasonable expectation that, like, you might be able to do one or a few of those projects in a year, and that call it a good year. And, like, we achieved something this year. And in my typical overambitious, um, enthusiastic brainstorm of creation, I have decided that I'm going to finish this year with 3 to 4 of each of the 7 categories of things that I usually cover. That's that's a lot of stuff. That's like minimum 21 to 28 projects achieved by the end of the year. And they're not small projects. So I'm sort of like, I can't wait to reach the end of the year. Like, I can, and I want to experience it in doing it. I want to go through this year doing those things and experience a year of just sheer, unadulterated creative ventures. And when I hit the end of the year, to be able to look back, and there's a part of me is like, I'm excited to see what that's like. It sort of reminds me, years ago, I did this project where, like, back when like that first year, I became sick and then started to get a handle on my sickness to the point where I didn't think that I wasn't going to make it for another year. That's a double negative. I didn't think that I would die that year. and that I had a future ahead of me. So I sat down and I wrote a letter to myself. I wish I could find that letter again. I read it like it was meant to be read every New Year as a reminder of where I'd been and where I've gotten to from there. I promptly tucked it away somewhere safe so I wouldn't lose it, and couldn't remember where the safe place was for several years, and sort of just kind of forgot about it as life sort of fell apart and pulled together many times in the midst. But I did find it a few years later when I was sorting through things and briefly looked over it. And went, oh, I remember being this person. And oh, what I wouldn't give to be able to tell them all the weird and amazing things that have happened since then. I kind of want to be able to look back on this year. I want to be there now, kind of, but I don't want to get there without having actually gone through this year. I want to go through this year. But I do also, I'm kind of excited and curious to see what it's going to be like looking at this year from the other end. And so I was like, I'm kind of hopeful. So, uh, yeah, so some of the things I want to be doing is uh, I will do the rest of February should be the food themed one starting Sunday. Guess you'll just have to show up on Sunday to find out what I'm going to do for food. That'll be a project. And then it's just a goofy thing. It's not some great grand thing, but it was one of those fun ones to try to figure out. Like there are some categories of things that I review and check out that are just sort of like, how do you make like a lot of the things I'm doing for this are things that are demonstrations of how you can do this for a living, sort of. Like the book I wrote. I can be a writer, I can publish books, I can get residual income from those kinds of things on a regular basis. It's sort of like a passive income stream from the creations I make and sell online. Um, for video animations, you can do a Patreon subscription. For the board games, you can sell them through sellers online, or I'm not sure anybody else is doing board games as shareware like I am, but sure, I'll do that too. And then the product and service category, and video games. You can sell video games online, um, a download market, and then like the products I can sell on eBay or Etsy, um, and art. I can do prints. I can get prints made through a couple different. I think there's like Artfire, and then there's I believe even DeviantArt makes it possible for you to sell prints of your work. Not sure. I'll have to look into that again. But maybe if I do 7 pieces of artwork that week, um, that's a tall order. But if I do that, maybe I'll make a print of each with different methods of sale. That'll be interesting to look into. But so that's sort of the idea behind all these is, and if I do music, I can sell it as a downloadable. So each of these is something that, like, if you wanted to pursue as ways of making side income or as just a little side hustle or a hobby that funds itself. Like if I do paintings and I paint one painting and sell only 2 prints of that painting, if that pays for the canvas and the paints to make that painting, then it's a hobby that pays for itself. And I want to sort of demonstrate there are ways to do each of those. But food is hard to work that one out. Now, you can do something like a cookbook, but to me, that almost feels like cheating. I will potentially do a cookbook at some point this year as I revisit the food category 3 or 4 times. But doing a food taste testing or other like food related thing in a way that's a potential hobby that pays for itself or side job kind of way. I was just like, that is the stumper. That's the stumper category. And I'm excited when I hit a stumper sometimes because like, ooh, this is a puzzle I get to try to figure out. So I'm gonna try to figure out what I can do for food. And so the first one I hatched on for this first week was just a weird, fun little experiment. And it's kind of funny. So if you're interested in finding out what it is, that'll be 9:30. I'll probably see if I can start it at 9 on uh, the week of starting on Sunday. So like 9 leading up to 9:30, might run about an hour. So you don't have to watch the whole thing. You can pop in and see what it's about. You don't have to stick around for the whole thing. But I thought it was kind of fun, and it can lead into a couple of the other options that I have for doing food categories for later on. But I mean, the category I've sort of, when I came up with my channel, I had the first four categories that I was doing content for, and then I found myself, I lumped in like taste testing snack foods in with products and services because they were a commercially bought product. But I quickly found that I was doing taste tests more than I was doing products. And so I said, like, I can split this off into its own category. And being the symmetrical individual that I tend to favor, um, having having five categories of things wasn't working for me. So I came up with, um, doing something like a art, music, and video games as the next four categories. But then I ended up doing the health and well-being videos, and so I condensed art and music into one category, and I was going to alternate each week with them. And then, so health and well-being became category 8. Um, and I sort of neglected that one. That was originally thought to be, I was going to do things with like mental health as well as physical health. So diet, exercise, mental health. Um, and I feel like some of the things I want to do in that would be worth revisiting because I think it's a useful category of things to explore. Now, I don't know that there's really much I can say about doing that as a side income or a self-supporting hobby necessarily. Maybe. But originally, when I was doing this, I had the plan that I was also going to do some of my own creative projects, sort of like what I'm doing right now, where I do the write a book or make a entertaining video, uh, a music work of some kind, like a silly little music video or something. Um, then I have things like my plan to get back to the choose your own adventure stories. I was making videos of choose your own adventure stuff, and I did not have the resources or the time to get done fast enough before we lost the features that made what I was doing possible. So I've had to reconsider ways of doing it. I have a couple potential ways to do it. Um, the most obvious for me is I like to do them all as one single video. I know people like to build these long strings of interconnected videos, and I'm not sure that's the way that makes the most sense for me. But the alternative methodologies, one of them that I want to play with is something that came up that works a little bit better for like a role playing game video where I propose like I give you a character illustration or something like that, and then it's just me sitting down being the, I guess, narrator. And I narrate the first part of the story, introduce you to the setting and the characters and whatnot. And then you have to make a choice about an action that happens in the video. Now, I can't do this really live because I have to cover both choices in recorded content. But theoretically, as very short episodic bits, I can do a video where you can make one choice, follow the path of the choice that you made, and then make another choice, and then follow those paths, and then the video comes to an end. And then, like a subsequent video continues from each of the possible ends there. Now, if I do that, give each choice intersection two choices, that gives the possibility of doing roughly around 9 choices during the course of one video. There's a feature in YouTube that maybe you've not had the chance to encounter before, but this feature is if you're watching a video, if you start a video and you hit the 1 button on your keyboard, it'll jump you to 10% of the distance into the video. If you hit the 2, it takes you to 20%. Take 3, 30%, all the way up to 90% of the video. Now, if I did that, I could set those, like, it's a real labor and editing and timing things correctly. But if I do it right, I could make a video where you come to a point in the video where you have to make a choice. And for choice 1, you hit the 1 button. For choice 2, you hit the 2 button. And it'll jump you to that section of the video. And that video continues with where your choice took you. And then your next set of choices may be for option 1, hit 5, and for option 2, hit 6. And I was like, that would be a really interesting way to do it. And so one of the possibilities to do something like this is telling the story that way. But there's a type of choose your own adventure book that I used to read when I was younger that is more of a single player role playing game. Whereas you read the book, you make some choices, but there's also occasionally interactions that have you rolling dice, and the dice outcome is it, a even number or an odd number. If it's an even number, go to this page. If it's an odd number, go to this page. Or is it 1 to 3 or 4 to 6? Go either way for that one. And so being able to do that means you can do like a role-playing combat system where you encounter a monster in a maze and you roll your dice, and if you roll a 6 or higher, or you roll 2 dice and you roll a 6 or higher, then you succeed in defeating the monster. Go to this point in the video. And so, like, I kind of want to do that. Now, that one might be a little bit easier than a more traditional choose your own adventure, because for that one, it would be me sitting at a table with my Dungeon Master screen and maybe some simple props or something. So it's like a role playing experience. You're sitting at a table with another person and role playing a game. But the choose your own adventure, I would want to do more like slideshow pictures of certain scenes from the story. And so getting the artwork done for that. Or I had a plan for whole different types of choose your own adventure videos. I had one that I wanted to do with shadow puppets. I had one that I wanted to do with animation, like a computer animation, like the 8-bit computer animation. It was going to be a cyberpunk story. And then I really want to I have this idea for a choose your own adventure story that like it's so like hits on all my passion points in my brain. And it's sort of a supernatural science fiction thriller, not quite horror, but kind of horror movie. And it's an interactive choose the path story that I was going to do with a very, very, very distinctive art style that I want to work with for that. I just, it's that one's a lot of work. It's going to take a lot to get that to work. Um, I chose a name for it. It's called Signal to Noise. So that one's going to be interesting experience to try to get to happen. And I may work with an animator and maybe some music or sound effects people to make that happen. Because I want that one, like that among all of them, I want to turn out a very specific way. The rest of them I can wiggle room and just try some creative artwork stuff for. But Signal to Noise sort of has to be done the right way. Now, I have a couple ideas for some potential choose your own adventure video concepts that may be live action, and that would be kind of fun to do too. I do know I can network with some of the actors in our region who do like commercial stuff and some simple stuff in the like stage actors and stuff like that. So I might be able to do that. Getting sets, costuming, props, and everything down right, that's going to be a little bit harder. But all this is really just to talk about the fact that like I had a category for things that I'm creating that aren't necessarily for sale or a means of an income, but just like creative stuff that I wanted to do. So like I had the choose your own adventure, the individual role player idea, and a few other fun little projects that I want to do that are just means of me artistically expressing myself through some video format. And I mean, again, it throws off the neat little symmetry. And when I originally came off with this idea, like the idea of having 8 categories of things and then a separate area for me to just upload my fun experiments, not on a regular interval, not at a regular process. Like I might do 2 in a year, I might do 5 to 7 in a year. I don't know. I haven't done it yet. But I had that sort of idea of like that's a less formal category. That's not a regular content kind of thing. It's a once in a while fun project to share. And I may I may look back into doing that. But I mean, this is kind of doing some of that right now. It's more structured than I had planned. And I'm not sure whether it makes sense for me to do like travel videos or vlogs. I never really wanted to do a vlog so much. It's not really what I'm aiming for. When I started this channel and the other channel, originally I had set out with the intent that I would not appear on camera. But I quickly came to the realization that it's really hard for me to review a movie or react to a movie or try a product without appearing on camera. I had to do it for this channel. So I never really wanted to be in front of the camera, but I did want to share ideas and talk with people about projects and ideas. And so I bit the bullet and just got myself in front of the camera, and sitting in front of the camera with a recorded pattern of videos that I make with the traditional videos that I do, that one's I'm still awkward about it. Like it's weird. I'll sit down in front of the camera, and it's sort of a joke. Like you'll find it out when you see other YouTubers sometimes react to somebody being honest about it. There was the Overwatch animated shorts. One of them has Winston starting up his camera to record a message, and like it's the bloopers and the outtakes of him trying to do that, and it's like 3 or 4 false starts, and everybody I've seen react to that video is like, oh, I totally understand that. I've been there. I do it all the time. And so like when you see the videos that get uploaded to YouTube, there's um that momentary of, oh, they just started and it's going. But they really, many people do 4 or 5 false starts. And when you see a jump cut in a video, chances are they stumbled over part of it, and they stumbled over it like 3 or 4 times before they got it right. And they just pulled that out and stitched the 2 pieces back together. And it's like, I, I, I still do that when I sit down and do my recorded videos in front of the camera. I still do that. But doing this live in front of the camera has kind of been good for me to get past some of that. There are no takebacks, there are no edits. I just sit, talk, and talk about the things that I'm there to talk about. And knowing that I don't have the option to edit actually makes it a little bit easier for me to just let it go and let it be what it is. But I know I get rambly, and I know that, like, if you started this video and I was talking about that puzzle or whatever it is I started with, I'm a long way from there, and I've taken branches off and pulled back in at certain points in this video. It is not an organized video. It's 42 minutes of rambling at this point. But, I mean, I think there's something there to. I just had a moment of massive deja vu. Okay, but I still think that this has been good for me to get comfortable just being open in front of the camera. So I feel like I'm going to examine whether or not contents like travel vlogs and personal vlogging might be something that I might think about adding at a later date. I don't think I really want to bother with it right now, but that may change at some point in this year. It's possible that I may use that, down month of March to do occasional vlogging, Q&A videos, collabs, or anything I can manage during that time. And then, like, some of those times where, like, I have a month or 2 months of content that I put up, and when I reach the end of my, say, 8 categories of content, to have that pesky little week hanging at the end of a month before I start a new month, I may end up using that as a vlog month or something like that, or a vlog week, or a travel week, or something to that effect. I'll have to figure that out. But yeah, so I'm just sort of really getting into the exploring what I can do with this channel and figure out what it is I want to put on here. Now, I know not everybody's a writer. You don't have to be. If you're interested in board games or product development and sales, if you're interested in music, or if you're interested in video games or any of that stuff, I'm sure at some point we'll cross paths with that. And if you have something in particular you want me to check out, review, if it's within my ability to do so, I will look into doing it. Now, I will say I do not have a lot of gaming systems. I think I have some Game Boys, like an actual original Game Boy, It has a flaw in one of the screen pieces, but it still kind of works. I have a couple color Game Boys. I think I have a Game Boy Advanced, and I have an original Nintendo Entertainment System. I think that's kind of it for the gaming systems that I have. I might be able to get my hands on a PlayStation. Oh, and I have a Nintendo Wii. Yes, I have that sitting in storage that I haven't used in a long time. Um, and I have a laptop and potentially a desktop on which I could play some games. Now, for some of the gaming content, I may also build an arcade emulator to play some of the old games. I favor old games, but I also have some interest in some of the other things that are out. I have never played, but I have seen some of the play for things like The Last of Us. I'm very curious to play Overwatch because I'm a huge fan of the animated shorts that they've done. Um, I don't imagine I'll be very good at either of them. There's another game coming out recently, like the implications of a game coming out that caught my attention. I would buy a gaming system just for that game. I can't remember what it is, which is probably good because I don't have the funds to be dumping a lot of money into that. But um, I may do some upgrades to my camera capabilities for recorded content. I don't know if I have the ability to do anything for improving the quality of this camera. I know I could do better lighting, and I know I can do better audio. So those are big on the list of things to do in the next couple weeks if I can. Um, it's sort of just kind of figuring out what makes the most sense for me to try to do. What's the best return on investment? Right now, I don't know that better video quality would make a difference in the content that I'm producing. Um, like I'm not doing anything like graphically intense that you need to see the pores on my face. Like if I'm reviewing a movie, you don't need to see if I have a zit. Like you don't need to see the greasiness of my skin in a hot, humid summer day. Um, None of that is adding to your experience. Um, what you will likely see of me in most of these videos is I will introduce you to the product that I'm looking at. So the book, the movie, the board game, the food, the product or service I've purchased to test. Um, and I mean, if it really requires a good quality still image, I can interlace that in with editing. Um, but I don't know that high quality video offers anything to this experience. Now, audio, on the other hand, if I had cleaner, crisper audio for these videos, I think it would potentially make an easier experience for viewers. Doing that live might require external mic kit. And I do have a lav mic somewhere. I don't know how well it works with this computer. The last time I tried it on a computer, it picked up a lot of like the fan hum. And I'm like, I'm far enough away from it, it shouldn't be giving that buzz in the mic. So I'll have to figure out what I need to do there. Um, but I also have an external recorder for recorded videos that I can do so that I can interlace that in and match it to the scratch track from the camera that I use so I can get better audio quality. And that way, like, if you don't want to look at my face when I talk about these things, um, you can listen to me almost like a podcast. And so, like, those are things I could probably do to step things up. better lighting quality. If I can get a camera that's a decent quality camera for getting 780p, 720p, high definition video. I don't know what this camera takes. This is just what came with my laptop. Frankly, it's better than the camera I started with, but I did have for a little while something that worked at 720p, and that was okay. If I can get something that does at least that, that would be all right. And if I do that, I will probably want to control lighting and background, because this shiny background is part of why this looks different than when I'm in that audio space at the makerspace, where it has the white um, non-reflective tile. It's a sound-absorbing tile with a rough texture on its surface. And that rough texture and light color, I think, makes the video look better. If I controlled the lighting in that room better, we could get potentially decent quality video, kind of with this camera, but definitely with a high definite 720p or even a 1080. And so, like, I'll have to, I'm keeping that in mind. I could feasibly do a green screen backdrop too to stitch in. I've thought about doing a couple things with making backdrops specifically for each category. So, like, take a still image of a spread out collection of books, DVDs, board games, products, food items, and artwork, or like a video game backdrops, and put up the green screen and have those appear behind me so it's more clear in the thumbnail what the category of the item is. And I will include that in the name of the video. I need to get better at my tagging my videos too. But there's some things I can do to make the channel better. Um, I'm not big on the marketing aspect of, like, so many YouTubers out there are like, you got to do your search engine optimization and your click funnels and your line up your merch and do your market analysis to make sure that you're hooking as many. Like, I don't. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here because I'm a geek about all the categories of things that I'm a geek about. I want to share that geeky experience with other people. And that's kind of it. Like, if we go somewhere with it, that'll be great. That'll be fun. Like, I have some projects that I want to do that I think would be amazing to get the chance to do. And if it's a hobby that makes enough money to support itself, that's, if doing these videos gives me all the money I need to support myself to make these videos, I'm good with breaking even. And I don't need to be chasing it like this is my, one shot at, becoming rich and famous. I don't want to be Casey Neistat. I don't want to build a mainstream. I don't want to build a Jimmy Fallon franchise off the side of some major network I don't want a television offer. I don't want to be offered the right to make a movie about my life. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to share my geeky passions with other people. Alrighty, we are quickly approaching an hour on a day off update, so sorry about the ramble. I'll see you tomorrow for another rambling update, and then Sunday is the first in the food series for the week. All right, see you then. Take care.